What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's the Real Big Three back in action. We've had a couple weeks of conflicting schedules, but we are back and ready to rock and roll. Here it's myself, Scott Bogman. Follow me on the Twitter at Bogman Sports, joined by Jonas Nader at Jonas Nader on the Twitter from NBC Sports Edge, and at Dan Bespris from hoopball.com. Guys, the season is wrapping up. So, Jonas, are you sad to see it coming to an end here?
No, dude, I'm so excited. This was a joke. Like, as a blurb writer at Edge now, right? NBC Sports Edge. Yeah, I'll call myself. But yeah, I'm just tired of writing the word protocols that wore on me. So I've been having some fun. I was telling Bogman before the show, I've been saying Joel Embiid's out for the day with a bad case of the Pistons. So I've basically become that Twitter account where it's like, yeah, the NBA injury report guy, the funny excuses. So I'm just doing that now. Lou Dort, the tank violator. So just having some fun, keeping myself sane here. But yeah, I'm ready for next season. I'm excited about next season. This season is a wash for me. Having six to seven players out in every team, that was frustrating. So ready for next season.
Yeah,
Dan, what do you think?
Kind of same. I'm just leaping in there. I did 6 cash leagues this year. 3 of them were head-to-head and 3 were roto because I wanted to sort of split my attention, make sure that I stayed on top of everything. My head-to-head leagues, I didn't go past the semis in any of them. And in my roto leagues, I'm in first, and probably third. And it tells you all you need to know about how injuries went this year. Because that was like, I have very similar teams in a lot of places. And the fact that some of them are just blistering everyone in a, we'll count it over the whole season method. And in the other one where Trey and Zach LaVine and Chuma and 6 other guys are all hurt in my semis. And I'm in, like, when that happens in a roto league, you're like, meh, we'll figure it out. Get them back next week. And then in head-to-head, you're like, oh, cool. So those 16 weeks up to this point were just, what? Why am I doing all this? So you head-to-head, I'm going to still do some because I need to be able to talk about all things on podcasts like this one. But next year, Jonas, I know you're a big proponent of pro leagues at Yahoo, so I think I'm going to jump in some Yahoo Roto pro leagues and just fleece some people. Yeah. I'm tired. By the way, I'm tired of playing with people who all listen to my show and know my picks before I make it. It's too hard. It's too hard. I'm still winning, but it's too damn hard. I need to play with some randos that don't know what I'm doing before I go into a draft room. So yeah, season, man. I'm glad they did it because I didn't want to go 2 years without fantasy, but this is a slog, man. This is a slog.
What's your alias going to be then? You're going to have to come up with an alias for your Yahoo Pro League.
Schmashmas.
Brew likes to use, I shouldn't give his away because then people will know that it's Brew. I tend to go with
almost did too.
I was really close. I like to go with villain names from like 90s cartoons.
Leon Phelps.
Leon Phelps. People will know that's me immediately when I show up with my Ladies Man t-shirt on your podcast. I don't know. Like, I have a team named Flintheart Glomgold in a league, so I might just use that for all of them. He was the bad guy in DuckTales. I don't know if anybody would get that reference. Great show. And Scrooge called him Flinty, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to just do this guy's picture. And I think I'm getting so far off topic, but whatever. The season's over.
Yeah.
Not a villain, but Kuato is my team name in a league. He is the guy in the stomach in Total Recall who's leading the resistance.
Okay.
And then, oh geez, who's the other one? I'll look it up while we're talking about something that's not dumb.
I would just use a favorite veteran for each team name. So you have a team named Kelly Olynyk, you have a team named Trevor Ariza, Nikola Mirotic. Yeah, you gotta have some good ones in there.
Yeah, I feel like if there were enough characters on Yahoo, I would just be the van outside Mirotic's home.
Yeah. Nico's training order.
Nico's RV. That might be it. Nico's RV. That's my team name for next year.
That absolutely would be your team name. Well, let's since this is kind of the last one, at least of the regular season, maybe we'll have an off-season episode or something. But let's talk about what's going on right now. And I just want to talk about Mo Bamba, guys. I mean, Jonas, you've brought it up, and I know he's in your subjects a little bit to talk about, along with some others as well. But guys, just blocking every shot. He's getting steals and boards now that he's actually getting minutes. So he is winning people leagues right now. It's kind of unbelievable. So I'm really happy to see him working out, but I didn't expect it to happen. I guess if I was expecting it to happen, this is the time that I think it would happen, but kind of blowing up, man. How high do we have to take him next year, Jonas?
Right now, he's trending towards top 75. I think he's blowing Wendell Carter Jr. out of the water in both fantasy and real life. This is a guy 2 years ago who had such serious red flags that he couldn't get up and down the court 3 or 4 times without getting gassed and taken out immediately. And Clifford was always bashing him for it. Had huge medical red flags. Even COVID shut him down for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because obviously health issues is a big thing with COVID. You get shut down for a while. So he was down for 3-4 months with some serious condition issues. He's finally healthy again. People got to remember back when he was healthy in college, during the combine, he had one of the fastest 3/4 court sprints ever recorded as a 7'1" dude. So he is an extremely good athlete. He's added some muscle to his frame now. So rebounding was a concern coming to the league, but now he's getting like 15 or 16 per 36 minutes. So big improvement there. I think he's going to be the favorite to start next season. I think they're going to want to pair him with Jonathan Isaac. You have 2 huge guys that can block shots and stretch the floor. That's going to be really fun for the Magic to build around too. So I'm all in on Bamba. He's training 2 months because we don't know what they're going to do with the draft. But yeah, I'm very excited about Bamba for sure. If not for Kelly Olynyk, he'd be the silly season hero.
Thank goodness for old Kelly.
Yep.
No, I got nothing to add on the Bamba front. I feel like this was sort of the audition for both of their centers, and he seems to have won it. So hell yeah. I guess my fear is, and Jonas, again, we're sort of stepping on your first topic, is how high or how excited are we? How high do these guys go? There is a fear that Bamba getting this starting gig with Wendell Carter Jr. dealing with whatever it is. I think it's an eye or a knee or a foot or something lately, has ruined some of the fun, because he was actually fantasy relevant even when they were in a timeshare. And now he's putting up these, 18, 15 rebound games. What's he at here? He's at like 13, 14 blocks his last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, he's had 8 in his last 2.
Yeah, so this little stretch, I think, is probably gonna take a round or 2 away of whatever value we may have been able to get on him. Because when he was playing 24 minutes, he was still getting like 9 and 10 with 2 blocks and a 3-pointer. And now you're like, oh, look at this guy. What if Wendell Carter Jr. only plays 20 minutes a game next year? That's always something I'm a little bit afraid of, but it's also possible that people have stopped paying attention by the time that Bamba's doing this stuff.
No one cares anymore. Fantasy season's wrapped, so they might not look at this. Like, they won't realize he's 24th in 25 minutes of his last 9 games. That's insane. So I'm hoping that what Dan said, he flies on the radar because no one's paying attention with the fantasy season over for the most part.
Yeah, so I'm always yelling on shows like, listen to my show in the off season, people. This is important. You will miss this stuff. And then people will come back and they're just like, all right, Wendell Carter Jr. starter in Orlando. But we don't know that that's the case. There are things happening. Pay attention. We have content for you.
I mean, well, I
screaming like this.
It's a great point that you make to talk about, the this end of the season is really going to clip his value for next year, because he's probably going to go appropriate, which is annoying when you want him at a value. So it all depends on what happens in the summer and all that stuff. But guys like Mo Bamba, they either end up, it's those super tall, skinny guys that can get up and down the court, but then kind of have some injuries. They either turn out like GA or they turn out like, to be insurance salesmen in a couple years. So there seems to be no in between on a lot of those guys.
I think you meant Andres Biedrins.
Yeah, Andres Biedrins. Yeah, exactly.
I love Biedrins.
But so I'm glad to see that Bamba's picking it up, because it looked like he was going to have to, go to State Farm and apply there to start selling some stuff pretty soon. But that leads me to my next question. Of you guys, already talking about next year's value, how seriously do we take this year? Because we didn't get a preseason. I mean, we got 4 games. We didn't get a training camp and a ramp up. There was no summer league. We had COVID protocols all over the place. We're assuming that hopefully next year we won't have, Jonas, you won't be writing protocols that much anymore. Same thing with you, Dan. We won't be talking about this stuff because most people will be vaccinated, it seems. But, it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But it seems like this year we're going to get a somewhat normal offseason. We're still going to have the Olympics, but the summer league's going to come around. The draft is going to be just a little bit later than it normally is, I think. So it looks like we're going to lead into next year being, I'm going to throw up air quotes and say normal-ish. But how seriously do we take this year? Can we, the guys that got hurt, are we dinging them pretty big, or are we writing that off because it's this year? And then guys that stayed healthy, is this just a weird miracle year for them? I mean, Jokic didn't have his first couple months of suffering through stuff. Is that going to be a normal thing for him, or should we expect him to go back to what he was before? Things like that. So Dan, I'll start with you on that question.
So my take on this is I'd rather overreact than underreact to this year. Maybe more so in league settings than in actual fantasy strategy, because guys get hurt, guys get sick, that type of stuff. I don't know that you can make massive adjustments on those. There are a couple of guys that, and I think they might be in your next question, Bogman, so I don't want to jump ahead. So there are a few guys where I'll probably tweak it based on some things I saw this year, but not really so much COVID-related things. What I'm referring to more is a willingness on my own part, and this is like Dan talking to Dan, a willingness on my own part to accept the fact that the silly season just gets longer every year, and it might finally get a tiny bit shorter next season, but I would rather overreact to that than underreact, because this year, there's like one team in every head-to-head league that's not being completely obliterated by injuries and rest days the last 4 weeks of the regular season, and that's the team that's winning the head-to-head league. So for me, it's more on the setting side than it is on the player evaluation side, because of the extraordinarily short offseason. And maybe we should have been more careful with teams that went deep into the bubble. I tried to avoid LeBron everywhere I could, and his injury was a little bit more fluky than anything else. But if guys have time to rest, if we're not hearing a lot of that we needed more time stuff, then yeah, I think you probably go back to evaluating guys in a more traditional sense.
What do you think, Jonas?
I agree with Dan, obviously, but one big point for me is I think we finally have some separation at the top of the fantasy drafts next season based on what we saw this season. So we know Jokic is the guy, we know Curry's the guy, we know Harden is probably in that 3-4 range, but other than that, there are a lot of questions down the road. So you have Anthony Davis, who I think Matt Smith, the Basketball Monster, tweeted, is he a first rounder next season? Some people were saying no. So there's going to be a lot of separation from these top picks that we're normally seeing. Like Kevin Durant, you can't trust him anymore. Constantly injured. Paul George, constantly injured. Giannis, you now have to factor in at least 7 to 10 missed games for Giannis each season for right knee soreness. They've been managing that a lot. So yeah, at the top, we've separated kind of like the men from the boys, I think. So next year we have a clear top 3, which I think is Curry, Jokic, and Harden.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's been a weird one for a bunch of guys at the top, and Anthony Davis is definitely going to come up later in the show too. But Dan mentioned my last question before, so I'll just start with you on this one too, Dan. Who is on, if anyone, because maybe this weird year has made it a little tough to actually put people on a list like this, but who is on your never again list? Has someone made it there after this season?
Yeah, and he's one of my favorites in all of fantasy, and it's Larry Nance, who I think I have to finally come to terms with the fact that he can't play full starters minutes without being hurt every 4 or 5 weeks. And I don't think that was this season. That's something we've seen developing over a few years with him. He's actually a better fit in a 23 to 26 minute role where maybe he doesn't break a thumb or tweak a knee or turn an ankle or whatever it happens to be. So makes me very sad to say it, because I love his fantasy game, but the value goes away when you're missing half the year. So I'm going to throw Larry Nance on there. I try not to throw the never again list. I try not to do that with guys that are pretty far up the board, because a lot of times other people will, and then they become values. And Jonas, I know you have a guy that we're going to be talking about shortly who probably fits this, but looking at guys that were dinged up this year as opposed to like a Kristaps Porzingis who's never going to play. He was already on my do not draft list. But, a lot of these guys that just had little nagging things or whatever, those guys are going to fall and become value. So I actually generally go the other way with this question.
Yeah, Jonas, do you have anyone who made it on to the never again list?
For you guys. Kyrie Irving, you will never see the light of my fantasy teams ever again. Missing 6 games for a birthday party really set me off. Not appreciate that. I thought he was going to be a value this year. I got him as a late second round pick.
He technically is, I think.
Yeah.
And you had him on every team too, right? It was many.
It was
teams.
him or SGA. It always ended up, and I was like, okay, I don't want SGA. It's going to be tanking hard this year, and that's what happened. He's sitting out with plantar fasciitis for 16 months. So
don't kick yourself, man. Kyrie's actually number 6 by totals in only 50 games this year. That's how good he's been.
But he still let me down in my moment where I needed him most. I was missing Tatum at the time for COVID, and I had no one on my team. And then Kyrie's like, you know what? I'm going to attend my sister's birthday and miss 6 games. So that was fun. Then I would say Anthony Davis is on my never again list. And I just say that because he's the locker room enthusiast. I just can't handle it anymore. It's not good for my health. Don't want anything to do with them.
Free throws anymore. What the hell happened with free throws?
So weird. And last one is D'Angelo Russell. I will not draft D'Angelo Russell again. I fall for the trap every year. Empty counting. He's the DeMarcus Cousins of shooting guards. Just empty stats, poor efficiency, can't stay healthy. Questionable fit in Minnesota. They have so many weapons there. Malik Beasley, we haven't even seen lately. So Malik Beasley, Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns. Where does D'Angelo Russell fit in? It's an awkward fit for sure. So I will not be drafting D'Angelo Russell next season. You guys hold me to that, please, too. Hold me to that. You guys are my accountability partner.
Well, it's not JJJ, so I think you'll be safe. So, I mean, I don't know that I'm going to put anyone on my never again list because I find this season to be so absurd, right? Yeah. It's unbelievably weird. The injuries are mounting and stacking for everyone. I'm in one championship right now. I have one team alive right now. That's it out of all of mine. And I don't do Roto. I do call Roto I always say it's for crybabies. And Dan, you did kind of lay out the reason I say that is because guys get hurt during the playoffs and teams lose because of that. But it's usually not a third of your roster that gets hurt, right? It's usually your big guy, right? It's usually Chris Paul getting hurt in the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, whoever. Like it's a big name, Lillard getting banged up, Embiid misses time, and the Sixers start to lose, right? So it's usually that thing. It's usually not a third of your roster is on the injured list, and then there's some guys that can't go on the injured list because you don't have enough spots. So you have to drop them and pick up these other guys that have been suckers the whole year. And you have to pick through and see who you actually believe in. And some of them are hits and some of them are misses. So
by the way, the guys I picked up to replace my stars also
got hurt.
Yes. Yeah. That happened twice.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And that's why I asked, and you guys call it the silly season and everything, which it should be. But how seriously do we take this? And I think, Dan, you're right in the overreact instead of underreact to it. But I also I kind of want to bury this year and never think of it again. You know what I mean? The
Viking funeral, just send it out.
Right. Everyone in, 6-7 years goes, man, what was 2021 and 2020 like? Yeah, I don't know, man. It was such a blur. I just don't remember. I remember a lot of people being hurt.
Yep,
yeah. Yes, exactly. 100%, Jonas. But that'll take us to Jonas. What do you have going on? What's your first subject here?
Topic number 1 is, who are you most excited about for next season? We already said Bamba, so I'm going to ignore him here. But I put Jaren Jackson Jr., obviously, because he has looked super rusty. Apart from that first game, has looked super rusty. He's all over the floor defensively. He's just chasing everything. There is no cohesion with that team. They're poorly coached right now. Lots of weird stuff going on in Memphis. So big buy low appeal for JJJ in draft next season. KPJ, who's actually hurt again, so that should help him hopefully fly under the radar. But the youngest player to have a 50-point game with 10 assists. So really impressive stuff. I don't think John Wall's long for Houston. Robert Williams, probably the best sleeper that never was because he could never stay on the floor for more than a few weeks. But talk about upside, man. He was ranked, where is he at? 6th rounder in 19 minutes on the season. Can you imagine him in a full 25-minute role next season? That's going to be really exciting. And last but not least is Pokusevski, who I think I'm kind of relieved he kind of slowed down too, because I think he's going to fly under the radar next season. Just an absolute unicorn. Youngest player in the NBA, has every tool in his bag. So I am very excited about all those guys. And I'm curious to see who you guys like for next season.
So I'm going to go the other way because this will be to the surprise of no one. I love a lot of the old guys who have quietly petered out at the end of the year for whatever reason, like an OG Anunoby who's just not playing anymore because the Raptors are garbage. Or I could go farther up the list. Tobias Harris, who's number 24 by averages, and again, 58 games, so by totals ever so slightly better than that. There's no way he gets drafted anywhere near that. I am excited by the fact that almost all of the old man squad guys are going to be a value again next year. It's just remarkable. I don't have to change a thing. The fantasy world has made my life so freaking easy. I cannot express it. Rudy Gobert is going to be underdrafted next year. Miles Turner, who's hurt again, is probably going to be underdrafted next year. I said Tobias already. Drew Holiday will probably be underdrafted. Chris Paul might be although I got to pump the brakes on that one a little bit. The MVP talk might actually get overdrafted finally. The list is absolutely immense. And there's just Chris Boucher is going to get underdrafted next year because he's sitting games at the end and people think Khem Birch is the answer in Toronto or Tampa or wherever the hell they're playing. The list is 20 to 30 players long that are going to end up on a per game basis, at least overperforming. And if you sort of adjust for likelihood of injury, the totals going into next year also lines up again. If I'm looking at the younger side, I'm actually kind of excited about Shea as a possible post type guy next year because he killed teams this season.
Yeah.
We have to see what the Thunder do if they're going to be in an additional tank year. And so then you may want to be careful again. But if they show any signs of waking up, of wanting to sort of take a step forward, what did he play? He played 35 games this year, right? And almost all of that was BS. Maybe he's got plantar fasciitis. I don't know. He had 35 points the game before they decided to shut it down.
Right. Very fishy.
So that dude's going to get drafted probably in the 4th, 5th, 6th round range. And if they actually plan on playing him, he's crushing it. There's just so much post type next year. And then I want to agree with Jonas on one. If the Celtics don't bring in a center, Time Lord, somehow he managed to fly under the radar because of the injury stuff. But yeah, he's insane. He was one that I preached buying not quite high enough on, and then I feel a little dumb because of the injury things, but super excited about Time Lord next year because there's no one coming for his minutes right now, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Dan as far as some of the older guys go because, we like you said, Dan, we're not putting them on the do not draft list, but some of these older veterans that got hurt are going to go. They're going to sink. They're going to get the overcorrection, which is what I bought this year, and it worked out for some of my teams. Obviously, I'm only in one final, so not all of them, but
dumb luck, man. You can't blame your team. It's dumb luck right now.
Right, especially in head-to-head. So, which is what I exclusively play now. So, it's a lot of those guys, but I think my biggest one, Jonas, is going to be Cade Cunningham on the Rockets. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing next year, and KPJ, obviously. So, but
he's done the draft lottery already.
Yeah, it's already done in my head. The Rockets clearly are winning it because they are the worst team in the NBA. So, I'm really excited about Cade Cunningham going to my Rockets. So it's already happening. Lock it up. So don't get excited, Thunder fans. He's mine. So let's go. What's number 2 for you?
All right, so I got an under the radar player who I don't think anybody will be talking about next season, or at least not until now. Goga Bitadze for the Pacers. So here's my thinking here. The Pacers are going to have to choose between Sabonis and Miles Turner, and we all know they're going to choose Sabonis here. It's an awkward fit. It hasn't worked this season for them, and they got to make some changes. So Miles Turner is going to be moved. They've tried to move him many times before, and his value is at its highest right now. A lot of teams are looking at him. So Goga Bitadze, one of the best per minute players in the NBA in his second year, has struggled to stay healthy. But if he gets 24 minutes, we are talking about maybe a poor man's Robert Williams here. Good across the board, one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. And I got to add this too. Kevin Pritchard he's the GM of the Pacers. He did an interview with The Athletic, and he talked about his team, and about 8 of his answers revolved around Goga. That's the guy he wants to build this team around, obviously Sabonis as well. But he loves Goga, so that tells me I'm going to have some Goga late round stock next season. I'm very excited about what the future holds for him.
Guess we know why he only got fined and Greg Foster got suspended.
Exactly.
Do you guys believe that Nate Bjorkgren hit piece that came out a couple days ago? I know that's off topic.
I don't think I saw it.
I saw it. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It smelled like smoke to me.
That's what I was thinking too. 17 quotes, I counted them, and not one of them was attributed to a human.
Yeah.
I'm not the source police or anything, but you could get one.
Yeah.
You could get one.
They
And
should
a
fire Nick Dillon.
rival executive said, "Oh, okay, so unbiased, cool." Anyway, yeah, jumping in on Goga. I actually picked him up in a couple of spots. It's too late for me to get him in my keeper league, but I'm not against it. He has an insane block rate. He's a big man who is actually efficient both from the field and at the free throw line, which is important when you're hunting for big guys. Just really good rates on a lot of stuff. I guess my only concern is, could they possibly, he and Sabonis, can they coexist? It seemed like if Turner can, I don't know if Goga can, but he's shown that he's actually kind of able to get it done in like 20 minutes a ball game. So there's a kind of an inside path to that. I like Goga. Yeah, I'm into it because, I mean, he gets I think a bad rap because his first name is a little bit funny. Everybody likes to say Goga. And he's sort of this big lumbering ox on the basketball court, but he's actually he's got pretty good touch. And that's important to look for in a big man who can get you big man stats without tanking you in anything.
Yep.
I would like to see Naismith get some minutes for Boston. So
that's pretty good lately.
Yeah, I would like to see him get some real minutes and just find a real role with them. So I think he's one of those guys that in a deeper league, I would look to add at the end, maybe depending on who Boston adds and all that stuff, of course. But I kind of like what I've seen out of him, so I'm excited to see him pick up some minutes next year. So a lot of those, rookies, they don't get anything year one; they get nothing. So seeing them get a little more involved at the end of the year, that really, especially this year with rookies, because they didn't have summer, they didn't have training camp, in 4 games of preseason, which was more for the veterans than it was for the rookies at all. So I think a lot of rookies from this class could bust out next year, along with the rookies from this class. So we could be going pretty young next year. So I would like to see a little bit of that. I think that's how I'd answer mine. Last one, I think, Jonas, right?
Okay,
What's the last one?
So last one, I got my best and worst sleepers. Just a little bit of self-reflection here. Robert Williams, the best sleeper that never truly panned out, I would say, just because of so much missed time. Rashawn Holmes, who is a hoop ball favorite. Dan and Brewski always lead the market on him. So I put him on my sleepers list, of course, because I'm going to ride on them a little bit. That was such a great call. He's 30th again this year, guys. Just another insane value. So congrats to the hoop ball team. That was a great pick. DeJounte Murray, who I think took another step this season. So really strong season for him. Jarrett Allen, who will be a sleeper next season as well, because he's going to blow up in Cleveland. Thomas Bryant never really panned out because of the injury, unfortunately, but Mikal Bridges was definitely the highlight here. Early round season for him. He looks like the next Robert Covington. So as for my flops, there's a couple of them, a few of them actually. Cam Reddish, disappointed in him, man. Took a huge step back in every category, could not shoot, could not stay healthy. Maybe some bounce back appeal next season, but you can probably get him in the last round at this rate, right? And finally, Darius Bazley, who has all the tools to be a good fantasy player, but awful percentages. It doesn't help that he doesn't have a good supporting cast, so he was asked to do way too much for a 20-year-old. So bit off a little bit more than he could chew this season. The steals and blocks were the most disappointing part, though. So a guy as athletic as him should be getting 1.5 steals and 1 blocks, and he was nowhere close to that, too. So those are my busts. And I would also add D'Anthony Melton should be a win for me, but he's not because of poor coaching. So that was a real shame as well. So maybe we'll get a new coach in Memphis next season and Melton will finally break out. But that's all I got.
I mean, I had a couple shares of John Wall this year thinking, oh, maybe this is the year he doesn't get shut down because maybe he loves to play with Harden and all that stuff. And I'm sure they'll give him rest, but maybe it won't be an insane amount. But the Rockets went to tank and so did he. So that was my probably biggest whiff on the year. But I had some Capella shares too. And he really, he's going to go over Collins next year, isn't he? What do you guys think?
For sure at this point.
Yeah. So that was kind of my concern with Collins was Capella being there. And I don't know. I kind of said that in preseason and no one really followed me along with my logic. So like that has kind of worked out. So those are my like big hits and misses. I got one more I want to talk about, but I know it's in Dan's section too. So
me and my lack of sleepers. I'm the most boring fantasy player on the face of the earth. My late guy grab. I feel like one of my late grabs worked out. I had Malik Beasley late in a few spots, but Yeah, Bogman. I had Capella in a few spots, but I don't know. Where's the line on like who's a sleeper? How late do they have to get drafted to fit in that mold?
I think sleeper's like an older term at this point, which is kind of unfortunate because I really love the term, but I don't know that it exists in fantasy anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know if sleeper really exists.
My definition is over an ADP of 75 is usually where I go.
Okay. That's a good spot. I mean, that's a good way to think of it.
I don't know who the hell I took past 75. I think I had a Norman Powell who I dropped before he became what would have been my greatest.
Just brag about Kelly Olynyk already.
Yeah,
I didn't draft him anywhere though.
I know, but you're the Kelly Olynyk guy. Like
you are the Kelly Olynyk guy.
For it. He's been the best fantasy player. He's been the best waiver wire player for the last 2 months. So you got to take some credit for that one.
I will take the feather in the cap on pickup, but my draft day I did not. I thought I don't know what the hell they're doing at center because for a while it was Myers Leonard. And then he didn't play, and then Bam was the center, and they went to power forward. Who knows what? But yes, I am I guess I am the Kelly Olynyk guy, and that's okay. For the first time in a long while, that's actually a good thing to say about myself. Wasn't great for a while there. This is a weird season, man. Like I don't think I have a team where I kept any of my 13th through 15th rounders. I don't think I have a single team where any one of those guys is left on my roster.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's the churning has been insane this year. More churning than ever.
All right, I had one that popped in. One that was close, and then he got shut down was Terrence Ross, who was doing a little bit better this year than usual. He was, I think he was like 80 something by totals, and then they shut him down. So that's kaput. That was close. Derrick Rose was close for a while, and then he got COVID. So there were a lot of like near misses in my late grab section, but
maybe the Knicks will get a point guard they can rely on next year. So we'll see.
A healthy D Rose has looked pretty good lately, though.
Yeah. But is he the long-term answer?
No.
Yeah.
He's our age, Bogman. So no.
I know. If he's close to us, I mean, shoot, if he's close to Jonas, you're getting up there. So,
right now. Oh my God, he's only 32. He's not even close.
No, he's not close. And I'm the oldest one here.
Take a nap, guys.
Well, you need it more than I do. But you're up. The last three on the last one of the year here. What do we got?
Yeah. So who do you guys think is the biggest bust of this fantasy season? I put it on Twitter and I got way more answers than I thought I would. Mine is actually Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I don't know how it cannot be Anthony Davis.
Jonas, do you have another one for there to fill in there? Or we just
I would say a lot of people had Tyler Herro on their sleepers list, but which I think is a huge mistake. He's been awful. So I'm glad we all avoided him like the plague. He's not a good fantasy player at all.
But who crushed a team? Could anyone crush a team like Anthony Davis crushed the team this year?
No.
Kevin Durant just because of injuries, right?
He's the second. Yeah, he'd be number 2.
Yeah, but he was going in the second round most of the time. I mean, right before the season, he was going in the first because people started to see him playing and he looked better and everything. So, but yeah, I think those two are got to be the biggest ones. I have a couple others that definitely didn't hit, but I don't think they are team killers like Dan said. Devin Booker. Didn't live up to the hype, right? He's still a great player. He's still very good, but what is he ranked on the season? Like 75, Yeah,
and 48 by totals because he was generally healthy, so that was useful.
Yeah, right. Just cut it in half with next to CP3.
Right, and the other one was Hassan Whiteside played more than 20 minutes 5 times this year, and at least on Yahoo, he was a top 50 player. So. I don't think I drafted him anywhere. I might have had him in a keeper spot or two, but he was worthless.
It's Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah,
for sure. I thought he was going to be the biggest no-brainer, the third rounder that would go into the first round. So yeah, huge miss by me. Nurkic was a huge bust this season for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's your Yahoo preseason top 50, and then lined up with who on that list is currently ranked outside the top 100 by total. So this does now include games played. Anthony Davis preseason 3 finish, or right now is number 155 by totals. LeBron is 95, by the way, so he just barely misses this arbitrary cutoff. KD is number 103. He was preseason 14. And Ben Simmons, preseason 25, currently 102. That one.
Ben Simmons is a build, though. Like,
yeah,
you have to be in the right build to draft.
Shea and Ja, preseason 26, 27. They're currently 148 and 151. Nurk, preseason 34, currently 246. Drummond, 37. He's number 182. D'Lo, who we already talked about, he's number 199. Christian Wood, 135. Mitchell Robinson, 212. LaMarcus Aldridge, I mean, now we're right at the cusp here. He was preseason 48, number 274. And Hassan Whiteside, the winner of the who is actually ranked the lowest out of all of these guys, preseason 50, totals number 324. He does not make a 20-team roster this year, but that's the list of preseason top 50 pre-ranked guys that fell off a cliff in some manner. But I still think with all those, it's AD because he's the only one of those guys taken in the first round that isn't
the first three
roster. Yeah,
you know, that's really the thing is you took him in your first 3 picks and he absolutely sank you. Maybe you stay competitive with whoever had Harden because Harden missed so many games, but that first round, having your first guy, especially when you're picking that high, screw up or get hurt, really screws you up. So yeah, I'm with you on AD being the worst value this year.
All right, next one. What are you guys doing in your leagues right now? I think it's a funny question because I have all my head-to-head teams eliminated. So basically right now I'm in 2 roto spots where my team's in first place and I'm mostly just trying to maintain. And then I'm in one where I had so many injuries that I'm on pace to finish like 20 or 30 games short of the games cap. So I'm literally rotating 3 guys on and off of my roster every single day just to try to get close to it. So Jonas, what are you doing in your leagues right now?
My only leagues I'm in right now are obviously the Roto leagues. The head-to-head leagues ended a couple weeks ago. Super streams, like Dan said, I'm looking at guys like James Johnson. Like this is the time of the season where teams are like 10th, 11th, 12th. They start shutting down their players. We're probably going to see Christian Wood shut down. We just saw Zion and Brandon Ingram get shut down. So we are looking for the super streamers. I think the best one here, another Dan special, is James Johnson. And I put up a little stat because I know Dan's going to get excited about it. But I pulled his stats with Zion and Ingram off the court, and
they're great.
Threw me out of my chair. They're great.
They're great. I cannot wait. Hit me.
A per 36 line of 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.3 steals, 2.9 blocks, and 2.6 triples.
I mean, thank God.
Those are numbers.
Thank God we got one more per 36 out of Jonas at the tail end of the year here. So.
Can we, Bogman, can you insert the Will Ferrell? It tastes so good when it hits your lips. That's how I'm feeling right now with these James Johnson stats. But he does leave them both out, by the way, just so that people know I'm not completely insane. When it was one or the other, he was like right on the cusp. Yeah. But yeah, when they were both out for 2 or 3 games shortly after the All-Star break, he was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I'm in one head-to-head league. I'm playing Basketball Jay from from all of our podcasts. I'm sure you guys have heard about him, and I'm thumping him right now. But it's not because my team is great. It's because his team is so unbelievably hurt. I mean, all I'm doing is making sure that I have a full roster every day. So that's all I'm making sure is that my lineup is as filled as it can be because this is a deeper league. We have deeper benches. There's so many guys that are on IL spots in this league too. It's like it's a 12-man, but it's basically a 16 to 20 man somewhere in there because so many guys are in the IL for so many of these rosters. It's insane. So, I mean, I'm picking up Trey Burke and guys like that, so it's been a brutal year. So it looks like I might get one championship as long as my team doesn't S the bed today and tomorrow. So we'll see.
Yeah, hoist that trophy.
Hey, I'll take it. A trophy this year, it's just like the Lakers, right? It counts the same. So it's harder. I'll take it.
It's harder, damn it. So then this segues actually into my last one, which is, or I had 2 questions. I don't know which one we want to do here. We could do them both quickly, or we could do one or the other. Bogman, what are you doing differently? Are you changing anything with your leagues from a settings standpoint next year?
I don't think I'm changing too much settings wise, but I do I want Yahoo to add injured spots.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be like it was this year, right? Because that's insane. And everyone knows the ramp up time made it harder. Not knowing when the season was going to start until 3 weeks before the season started was the biggest. It's the biggest preseason craziness I've ever had in any fantasy sport I've ever played. So, like if you told football people that, they'd be burning stadiums to the ground, right? You don't know when the season's going to kick off. Are you kidding me? That's insanity. So that was so weird. I think I want to add, I really want Yahoo specifically to add more injured spots, because only having 5 in this season is just absurd, right? You should be able to have 10. They do the same thing with baseball and football. Your max injured guys is 5. They need to expand it. It's absurd. So, on Fantrax, or other leagues, I don't know how ESPN works. I think you can have 10 on ESPN, but I don't play there, so I'm not 100% sure. But for Fantrax, you can make it unlimited, which I kind of think is what it is. You don't have a limit to how many injured players you can carry on your roster in the NBA or in any sport. So I think it's dumb that we have restrictions in our game, and I get that you don't want people to, pick up injured guys and stash 100 of them. I get that, but it's got to be more than 5. Make it 10 at least, right? So, if you have 4 guys out for the year in a keeper league or a dynasty league, you can stash those 4 guys and then have some other rotational guys that are going to come back. You don't have to just drop them and then take your tank year, So I think that's the biggest thing that bothers me after a year like this. And of course, after this year, who isn't looking at the injured list and guys' injury history and stuff like that? So, but I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think you can really change the categories at all or anything like that. I'm definitely not going to. I know I'm never going to enjoy Roto as much as I enjoy head to head. I'll play Roto next year, but I don't, most of my leagues are going to stick to head to head.
Jonas, are you changing anything for next year, settings wise?
No, this season was a wash for me. I will be playing a little bit more Roto leagues, like we've already said, but other than that, I am not going to base too much off this season. This season was just such a joke. You're in the middle of a semifinal matchup and you say, "Oh, Zach LaVine's gonna be quarantined for 3 weeks. Great, my second best player. Let me go scream into my pillow real quick and scare my kids." So yeah, I am not looking back at the season with too much earnest. So yeah, I'm done with it.
I was right there with you on that one, man. Yep. Threw him in my IL slot, and then 3 days later, trade stepped on somebody's foot, and I went, "Okay, well, that was fun."
Yeah,
I think what I said earlier for myself, I needed. If I'm a commissioner of a league, we got to end it 3 to 4 weeks early, and I had to be.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
I had this.
Even though we don't expect next year to be like this, you still have to take this year into account. I think this year wrecked it for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, look at it from a regret standpoint. Would you regret more going too far and having your league completely decimated by injuries and then everybody upset and the winner crowned by who just got super lucky? Or would you regret more thinking, well, we had a super fair league, but yeah, we didn't play that 19th week, which turned out to be okay. We could have gone 7 days further. That's a much smaller regret in my mind. And I think a lot of people have done this, is push it earlier and earlier and just say, you know what, your regular season is 15 weeks now instead of 17 or something like that.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Make your adjustments. Make your run earlier. You can't sit on injured guys quite as long because you don't have that ramp at the end of the year. But your playoffs are going to be closer to fair. So Jonas, you're already doing it. You said all your head-to-head leagues are done. So I think we all need to just be like Jonas, do the little figure thing, and your leagues early. And then for me with Roto, that's an income at this point. I play Roto because I want the money at the end of it.
Right.
It's not on a week-to-week basis. It's not as exciting as head-to-head, but I want my league decided by who had the best team for 21 straight weeks. And so I want to upgrade my computer every April. So, that's my stuff. So we'll throw away my last question.
No, I want to answer your last question. That's my favorite question on here. And it was,
I think Jonas is running out of time, so we'll do it quick.
All right. Yeah. It was
I'll just be muted for a second.
Who was your favorite pick this year? For me, it was Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And no one was really buying into him either because of his injury history and stuff like that. And I think, Dan and I, the old men here, of course, were like, hey, look, if you can get Chris Paul in the late second, early third, that's an absurd value. Like, even if he gets hurt at the end of the year, he's going to help me get to the playoffs and the finals anyway. So, I think Chris Paul was easily my favorite pick of this year.
I want to do mine real quick. I got Mikal Bridges as mine.
That's a great one,
and he didn't even have many steals this season. That was his bread and butter, too. So he took a step in scoring in threes. So Mikal Bridges, when we see some positive regression with that steal rate next season, we are talking about the next Robert Covington. So he's my guy.
You guys know where Bridges is by totals in 9-cat this year?
Probably top 30.
15.
15.
Love it.
Wow.
Chris Paul is number 5 by total this year.
Not that surprising, Chris Paul, right? I mean, if he plays that many games, it's surprising that he was the one out of everyone that made it through unscathed. They
were relatively healthy. The Phoenix Suns have long had the best trainers in the NBA. The guys that missed games there were dudes that were just not. They just didn't want to play. I mean, remember the Eric Bledsoe hair salon or the barbershop thing?
Right?
Like the guys that's where Grant Hill went to play again. All the guys in the NBA that want to stay healthy just go play on the Phoenix Suns. So that their whole team basically made it. Ayton, 67 games. Bridges, 67 games. Chris Paul, 66 games. It's not a coincidence. All of those guys are ranked by totals inside the top 16. DeAndre Ayton is number 16. I think we all would have thought, just thinking about it quickly, that he had a terrible season, but by totals, he actually was right where he got drafted.
Boy, he was like a weird heart monitor, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's what Ayton felt like this year. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm sorry. I actually wrote down an answer for that question, so I wanted to get to it.
That's fair. I can't not pick Chris Paul. Also, I like that. I know we're going with the same guy, but that was such a freaking gimme. I can't believe it worked again.
I know. And this is why you're first in all of these roto leagues, is drafting some of these guys that stayed healthy, and Chris Paul was surprisingly one of them. But that is going to put a wrap on the 2020-2021 season for the Real Big Three, fellas. So hopefully you guys are enjoying a championship run right now. And we hope you've enjoyed this show. And like I said, stick with everything in the offseason. Dan already mentioned it. He's going to be putting out content. Jonas is going to be putting out content too. So stick with these guys going into 2021, 2022. We're going to get the Olympics in the offseason, right? We are going to get a summer league, right? That is going to happen, right? It's already been confirmed.
I have no idea.
No idea.
Really? Okay. Well, your fingers crossed. So, Vegas is pretty much open at this point. So I'm assuming we're going to get one. So, but we'll see. But remember, you can follow us all on Twitter at Jonas Nader, on the Twitter from NBC Sports Edge, not Roto World anymore. Jonas, what is your offseason plan right now? Just take a couple weeks off and relax before you slam back into it, or what's the idea right now?
Yeah, we don't really have a plan just yet. We'll actually have time to prep this season. Like this season, like you said, we had 2 weeks to prep without knowing where the players were going to end up. So that was fun. But content schedule will probably be out in a couple weeks, but there'll definitely be lots of it. And I know Hoopball's going to be doing a lot as well. You want to talk about that, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly going to talk about what I do on my pod when the season ends. So we'll usually go into a couple weeks of sort of season in review, lessons learned, and how you apply that going forward. I do a pretty intense breakdown of how various big box sites pre-rankings match up to how things finish as a tool to understand how far you can move in drafts the following season. How far can you be comfortable reaching down the board? At what round is it the right time to, is it the 3rd round? Is it the 6th round? When do you start grabbing your guy and kind of ignoring the way things are built? Because there is a lot of accuracy near the top, and understanding kind of where that fades is actually really critical for making your sleeper grabs, to use a word that I think everybody agrees we can all semi-understand. We'll go through every team in the offseason, where they are, what their plans are, how that factors into fantasy draft value, tanking. Jonas, you talked about Shea as someone who was getting overdrafted because there was an assumption he might play at the end of the year, but knowing they had 21 picks, that was something people should have really been looking at. So all of this stuff, and then you get into free agency, and then you're freaking ramping up for next season again. So the offseason goes quick, even a longer normal one. And I hope people will give Fantasy NBA Today a taste even after the season is over.
And that's at Dan Besbris on the Twitter. If you want to follow him, at Bogdan Sports for me, at Jonas Nader. And we will see you guys next season. Take it easy, everybody.